This is a Fox News alert. I'm Brett Baer in Washington. A judge in Texas has ordered doctors at a Fort Worth hospital to remove life support for a brain-dead pregnant woman. Correspondent Casey Stiegel is live in Dallas with the breaking details. Good evening, Casey.
Good evening to you, Brett. Yeah, this landmark ruling came down not long ago. In fact, we're waiting on the family members to possibly make some kind of a statement over at the courthouse in Fort Worth. But let's bring you up to speed on this case that has garnered national attention in recent weeks. We want to tell you about 33-year-old Marlise Munoz, her story. She's seen here with her husband and her other child, and she's been brain dead since Thanksgiving after she suffered a blood clot in her lungs. Now, she was 14 weeks pregnant at the time. She is now at 22 weeks. But a fetus is not considered viable outside the womb until the 24 to 26 week mark, according to most medical experts you talk to. Marlise was a paramedic, and her husband says that they had had long conversations in the past about never wanting to be on life support, hooked up to machines. But officials at John Peter Smith Hospital over in Fort Worth cited Texas law. A law which read doctors could not withdraw life-sustaining treatment from a pregnant patient. So they have kept Marlise on a respirator all this time, and her family sued, saying that it was a violation of her constitutional rights. Recent court documents also revealed very sad findings about the unborn child. A statement reads in part, and I'm quoting here, "According to medical records we have been provided, the fetus is distinctly abnormal. Even at this early stage, the lower extremities are deformed to the extent that the gender cannot even be determined." Now, this has sparked heated debate all across this country. Some pro-life supporters have taken to the internet and called Eric Munoz a murderer. Others have not been as harsh, but protested outside the hospital in recent weeks, arguing to give this baby a chance, saying miracles happen every day. But again, just about 40 minutes ago, a Tarrant County District judge siding with the family and ordering that Marlise Munoz be removed from life support at the request of her family by no later than 5 p.m. on Monday. Texas time, Brett.
Casey Stiegel with the breaking news out of Dallas. Casey, thank you. Republicans meeting this week here in Washington are doing everything they can to learn from the mistakes of recent presidential campaigns and chart a different course for 2016. They voted today to condense the primary season and expand the general election calendar to try to avoid what RNC leaders called an intramural bloodbath that leaves the nominee battered and bruised in the fall. Chief Congressional Correspondent Mike Emanuel tells us how they plan to do it.
It's a historic day for our party.
RNC Chairman Reince Priebus made that declaration after party delegates voted to adjust the 2016 calendar based on lessons learned from the 2012 cycle.
Big reforms are coming to our presidential nominating process. Reforms that put Republican voters, not the liberal media, in the driver's seat.
The RNC is shifting the 2016 primary calendar, trying to start it later and end it earlier than 2012. February would be reserved for Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, and Nevada. Primaries before March 15th would be proportional. Then winner-take-all contests come after that.
This will really put our candidate and our nominee in the best position to win.
The RNC plans to reduce the number of primary debates to limit infighting and to avoid the nominee being damaged heading into the general election. They're also planning to move up the convention from late August to sometime between June 27th and July 18th to shift focus on the Democratic nominee and allow earlier access to general election money. The vote today was 153 to 9, but one critic said a compressed calendar would hurt a grassroots candidate.
We need a testing period. We don't need to nominate somebody from a fluke.
At this winter meeting, the RNC was putting the spotlight on 5 women, calling them rising stars. The party also announced Congresswoman Kathy McMorris Rodgers would give the GOP response to the State of the Union address. But former Governor Mike Huckabee got everyone's attention with this comment on contraception.
If the Democrats want to insult the women of America by making them believe that they are helpless without Uncle Sugar coming in and providing for them a prescription each month for birth control because they cannot control their libido or their reproductive system without the help of the government, then so be it.
At the White House, Jay Carney weighed in.
I haven't seen that report, but whoever said it, it sounds offensive to me and to women.
Today, Priebus warned his fellow Republicans at a time when their leaders are trying to grow the party.
We must all be very conscious of tone and choice of words when we communicate those policies effectively.
There is some thought these calendar adjustments fit the 2012 model of frontrunner Mitt Romney and long-shot hopefuls, yet the next election will likely have at least a half-dozen governors and senators capable of winning, and there could be benefit to letting it play out. Brett?
A lot still up in the air, though.
That's
okay,
right.
Mike, thanks. A man once thought to have White House potential is now focusing on staying out of the big house. Chief political correspondent Carl Cameron reports tonight on corruption charges against a man who used to be one of the Republican Party's rising stars.
Former Virginia Republican Governor Bob McDonnell flashed a brief smile as he and his wife Maureen ignored reporters and entered the federal courthouse to become the first sitting or former governor ever indicted in Virginia.
We love you, Governor McDonnell!
14 counts of accepting cash and luxury gifts, valuing at over $160,000 in exchange for allegedly promoting the company and products of a former political donor. The McDonnells both face as much as 20 to 30 years on each of the 14 charges. The governor admitted mistakes in judgment when the indictment was revealed earlier this week, but denied breaking any laws.
I have apologized for my poor judgment, and I accept full responsibility for accepting these legal gifts and loans. However, I repeat again emphatically that I did nothing illegal.
A judge threatened to throw the prosecutors, the defendants, and their attorneys in jail if they try the case in the court of public opinion. McDonnell insists there were no favors in exchange for his donor's generosity. Prosecutors must prove the governor specifically provided inappropriate access and favors.
No other elected official has been successfully prosecuted for such conduct. Yet federal officials in Washington, in their zeal to find a basis for charging Maureen and me, have decided to stretch the law to its breaking point in this case.
I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk at all.
Because former federal prosecutors say they need specific evidence to prove that what seems inappropriate is illegal.
They've got to show that the governor had the requisite intent, that essentially he had the intent to be influenced in his official actions, and that he in fact was influenced in his official actions.
The trial date set to begin July 28th. The prosecution says they'll take 2 weeks to make their case against the former governor. Mr. McDonnell's defense attorneys say they'll take a week in order to defend him. Virginia federal courts are known to move very fast. Brett?
Carl Cameron in Richmond. Carl, thank you. Conservatives and their attorneys are having a busy stretch in the courts. Tonight, correspondent Doug McElway looks at the startling number of folks on the political right who find themselves in the middle of legal proceedings.
Dinesh D'Souza, author and co-producer of the highly partisan documentary film 2016, Obama's America, was arraigned today in U.S. District Court in New York on felony charges. Federal prosecutors allege he donated $20,000, more than the law allows, to Republican U.S. Senate candidate Wendy Long and hid the contribution by reimbursing straw donors. Asked to respond, D'Souza wrote Fox News, quote, "a little tied up right now." In a statement, his attorney said D'Souza did not act with any criminal intent and said at worst this was an act of misguided friendship. In 2011, a donor to Democrat John Edwards' presidential campaign faced only a misdemeanor conviction for the same offense. The indictment occurs a day after a Hollywood conservative group, Friends of Abe, told Fox News the IRS has been holding up their application for tax-exempt status for 3 years.
We have been subjected to a scrutiny that goes beyond what might be reasonably expected, yeah, by far.
In New York State, conservative James O'Keefe's Project Veritas, which has repeatedly embarrassed Democrats with hidden videos, has been subpoenaed by the State Department of Labor for a comprehensive audit. That and the indictment of D'Souza occur after New York Democratic Governor Andrew Cuomo suggested in an interview that GOP candidates he described as extreme conservatives who are right to life, pro-assault weapon, and anti-gay have no place in the state of New York. And after New York Democratic Senator Chuck Schumer appeared to condone IRS targeting of Tea Party conservatives.
There are many things that can be done by the IRS and other government agencies, and we have to redouble those efforts.
The author of the Columbia Law Review paper, Ham Sandwich Nation, Due Process When Everything is a Crime, points to a pattern of prosecutorial overreach.
Part of Obama's legacy is that the paranoid conspiracy freaks don't seem so crazy anymore because the stuff that we know that's been going on, like the NSA snooping and the IRS targeting and so on, leads us to wonder what else is going on that just hasn't been made public yet. And that's a rational thing to worry about at this point.
Even if the actions and the timing are coincidental, the effect is chilling. A post on the Project Veritas website says the harassment is never ending and it's expensive to keep defending. Brett?
Doug McElway at the White House briefing room. Doug, thank you. Federal court records show a trial date has been set for Stephen Jin-Woo Kim. He is the State Department nuclear analyst charged with leaking national defense information about North Korea to our chief Washington correspondent, James Rosen, and lying to the FBI about it. Documents published in May show the Justice Department had designated Rosen a co-conspirator and flight risk. The first time an American journalist has been labeled a criminal by the federal government for doing his job. The Justice Department later changed its policies for such cases. Kim has pleaded not guilty. His trial is set to begin April 28th. Up next, the Obama administration is happily reporting the latest Obamacare enrollment numbers. But what about what they're not telling you? First, here's what some of our Fox affiliates across the country are covering tonight. KHON in Honolulu, take a look at this, with waves reaching as high as 50 feet on the North Shore, courtesy of a low-pressure system. Now heading for California. The waves reached their peak Wednesday, but surfers and bystanders were warned to stay away from the water for the entire week. Fox 11 in Los Angeles with security camera video of a bear approaching an unaware couple in Pasadena. The couple getting that close encounter visiting from Scotland. We're told the bear has been chased into nearby woods. And this is a live look at Chicago from our affiliate there, Fox 32. The big story, a huge traffic pileup on the main highway between Chicago and Detroit. 3 people died and more than 20 were injured in a wreck involving more than 40 vehicles on Interstate 94 near Michigan City, Indiana. Traffic, we're told, has resumed flowing in both directions now. That's tonight's live look outside the Beltway from Special Report. We'll be right back.
I'm doing this from the feet up.
What does that mean?
It means you got to be committed to something in your life.
American Hustle has now been nominated for 10 Academy Awards, including Best Picture of the Year.
The Art of Survival is a story that never ends.
American Hustle, rated R.
I don't know how it happened, but it's okay. We're ready.
When the things that matter most are on the line, make sure we are too. The Fire and Water Cleanup Team at 1-800-SERVE-PRO. Like it never even happened.